the Dirty Sports Podcast. I said welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast with Andy Ruther and Joe Prano. Welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast.
Welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Andy Ruther, coming to you live from Cincinnati, Ohio, with my co-host from Port Hueneme, California, Joey No Chill Prano.
Hello, Andrew.
Good morning.
Good morning, Andy Ruther.
On this final week of the National Football League season. Here we are, man.
Here we are. It feels like it just started.
Yeah, this season, I know everybody says this, but it always gets quicker the older you get. Everything happens faster. So, a lot of, we head into this week with a lot of picks on the line, and then you got to figure out who's playing, who's sitting.
Yeah,
a whole 9 yards about starters versus that whole shebang, so I don't know, but we have an update, little teaser. We have a call from our boy Jose, who's been a open Dolphins fan, a little rebuttal to our diehard Dolphins fan in the DMs, who ended up agreeing with everything we said, which leaves me doing a full blinking guy meme.
Yeah. It's always just a cry. It's just a cry for help. It's just a cry for help and attention. Look at me. I listen, I love our fans. I really do. And I understand that everybody is a fan of their own team. But at the same time, it's just like, what are we fucking doing here? Like from everybody's fucking standpoint. Like, if the Ravens win the Super Bowl this year, we're all of our fucking takes on whatever is going to be like, I told you guys. And meanwhile,
and that's fair. That's totally fair.
That's totally fair. But I can also guarantee you something else. Like, my take on Lamar Jackson, my take on Justin Fields, my take on Daniel Jones, my take on Michael Vick, my take on Josh Allen to some extent, my take on these guys who run is not a good long-term strategy. So listen, I get you're the Ravens, you're not the prime Patriots. If your goal here was Lamar Jackson wins one Super Bowl and rides off into the sunset with CTE, then yeah, you were proven right, we were proven wrong. But first of all, hasn't happened yet. And second of all, my criticism of Lamar Jackson is I don't like long-term futures of quarterbacks who need to run to win. So that's why I didn't want to pay him all the monies. But I also understand, being a fan of a franchise and being like, all the money's for a Super Bowl. That's the way I am about the New York Giants, or the New York Mets, I should say. Steve Cohen, spend all the money, get one. We'll figure it out after that. But of course, there's not a salary cap, and
you got to get one. Like, we all know how hard it is to win a Super Bowl. I am a fan of the argument. If you get one chip, it's all worth it, right? Even if Lamar doesn't get anything else, all that money, if he gets one chip, like take the Rams situation. The Rams go all in. They get the chip. They have one bad year after. Dude, and they're already right now, as we head into the final week, they're not going to win a Super Bowl most likely, but they're going to be in the playoffs.
Yeah.
My point is, like, they went all in. What I don't understand is that teams don't model after other successful teams. I feel like that doesn't happen enough. Hey, this is how this team did it. Why can't we follow this blueprint?
Right.
Now, I know drafting comes into play, and you got to hit on some draft picks.
Right.
but it seems like, again, like that model worked. They went all in twice. They didn't win a Super Bowl one time. They made it to the Super Bowl. They picked up a bunch of free agents then as well.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't know why more teams don't do this.
But the point is, my point in starting this is that everybody's got a hot take, and their hot take is about their own team. And then when your hot takes are proven wrong, everybody just slinks away. And when their hot takes are proven right to some degree, it's stand on the fucking mountain and scream. It's like, there's not a lot of fucking hot takes on here that we just like not a lot, at least. Just like you're writing novels about the Dolphins. You're betting $1,000 on the Dolphins wins. You're nonstop in my mentions about Kirk Cousins. You write a book about Jameis Winston. In the end, you guys were right. In the end, it's haven't tweeted since Kirk Cousins went out. It's, fucking like Jameis Winston hasn't tweeted since December. It's like everybody just loves to slink away quietly if they take the fucking L. Not me. I'm here every Monday and Thursday, dog. You know where to find me.
And we still don't know what happened to Jameis one-on-one.
Right.
Maybe him and Mac are somewhere together in dirty sports purgatory. The original Miami Dolphins fan.
Yeah. I'm not sure that's not Mac's new fucking handle. That he didn't move to Arizona under a fucking witness protection, running away from all the bets he made for the Jay Cutler Dolphins.
Did you know Jay Cutler is on Inside the NFL? And did you know that Inside the NFL is on the CW? Did you know any of this?
No, I didn't.
Bro, I learned this last week because I saw an ad for Inside the NFL and I was laughing. I didn't realize the trajectory of this show. So Inside the NFL, as we all know, was on HBO forever, and then it went to Showtime, right?
Yeah.
So it was on HBO from 1977 to 2008. Then it goes to Showtime from 2008 to 2021. Then they moved it to Paramount Plus. Now it's on the CW. Do you know who the panel is this year?
No.
Dude, this is wild crew. The panel for Inside the NFL this season on the CW. Ryan Clark, Shannon Crowder, Jay Cutler, Chad Johnson, and Chris Long.
That's crazy.
Isn't that an interesting mesh of people though too?
Yeah.
When you combine all those personalities.
And on the CW, does that mean is it a syndicated show now? Is it on wherever?
It is, because the reason I was like, what's going on here? I saw an ad for it. I was watching a game in the last few weeks and it said, check your local listings.
Right.
And
so
I just thought
syndicated. The production company took it, Showtime or whatever didn't want it. And then now it's just, or was it on HBO? What was it on? Showtime for a while.
HBO to Showtime to
to syndication. So now if you need some content in your market, we got some NFL guys for you.
I just thought like that. And then that crew, they all just throw together. And then Ocho also has that podcast that he does with Shannon Sharpe. And then, of course, Shannon Sharpe has his own club, Shay.
Oh, bro. Thank God you reminded me of that. You're a Katt Williams guy. Have you watched any of this stuff?
Oh, bro. So I obviously fell down the rabbit hole on Twitter. And then I said,
sports talk is tabled for the next 10 minutes. Buckle up. We're talking Katt Williams.
So I downloaded both episodes. I downloaded both on Spotify, for the car.
Is it broken up into multiple episodes on audio?
So on audio, it's 2 episodes. I'm like episode, I think it's like 2.5 hours total.
Yeah,
They split it up.
246.
What is it?
246. It's as long as Braveheart, dude.
So it's 246. So I'm about like an hour 5 into it.
It's the best thing ever.
He comes out swinging.
He comes out swinging because, and I love it. First of all, let me just say, you're only an hour and 5 in. Like, I'm 2 hours and I think I got 25 minutes left or whatever. Like last night we had to tap out, we were like, we're gonna go to bed early tonight. And then every commercial break on YouTube we're watching, my girlfriend's like, one more. I was like, Jesus Christ, it's fucking midnight now. I got to go sleep. I got dirty sports in the morning. We're watching. First of all, let me just say this, and I feel like I need to do a podcast, and you feel like I need to do an hour-long podcast to break down just Katt Williams on comedy in general, because his takes on just like how to do comedy. I've never heard any other comedian that came at it from the approach that I come at it from, which is like, I don't give a fuck about anything. It's a sport. I'm competing with these people. I'm just trying to do the best show for the people in the room. So much of comedy these days is like the clips and the crowd work and the blah, blah, blah. And then I need a joke that can do this. I want to sell my thing to that. And it's just like the approach of like, I'm just there to perform for whoever may be in the room. And I'm just like, if there's another comic on the show, like I'm trying to do better, more laughs than them. But the thing is, he also talks about, he's like, I don't do the promotion thing. Like, I'm not on the promotional tour. I don't go and do these things. I'm not putting out the clips. I'm not doing all that. I'm here solely to talk to you for 3 hours because you had motherfuckers on this show who are liars. I'm literally here just to call people liars. And then you can ask me all the other questions you want to get to. But first, I have 90 minutes about people who came on your show and lied. And he's just undressing people. Dude, going at Cedric the Entertainer, going at Steve Harvey, going at all these guys. I don't do comedy
but just
anymore.
Everybody, Ricky Smiley, Earthquake. Now, obviously, it's a lot within, and you're not going to know this because we're in the comedy world, but it's obviously very heavily in the black comedy world.
Going at Kevin Hart, going at Tiffany Haddish.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, those were the things, not to like spoil the whole thing or whatever. Like, you guys should all watch it. If you love comedy, you should watch it, because the way he just like undresses the way people present themselves versus who they really are, comedians who versus people who call themselves comedians. But the two things that made me say everything he's saying is true. He was like, everybody's doing that. Like, somebody did this whole thing about the Comedy Store and Tiffany Haddish at the Comedy Store and Kevin Hart at the Comedy Store and blah, blah, blah. He's like, Tiffany Haddish never performed anywhere but the Laugh Factory. And
he's right. Chocolate Sundays.
Until she broke. She didn't. She was never at the Improv. She was never at the Comedy Store. She was never in New York. She was never anywhere. She was just at the Laugh Factory.
Correct.
She got a big break. She popped. Now she can go everywhere she wants, which is very comedy as well. Like, all the doors open for you once you're famous.
Mm-hmm.
But she was not like this, like grinding all over town, showing up at the West Side, showing up at the Improv, showing up at the Ice House, like doing spots. She was just like a Laugh Factory person. That was a name. And I only knew her from the Laugh Factory fucking like lineups and Eddie's podcast.
Yeah.
It's the only place I never ran into her at the Improv. I never ran into her at the Comedy Store the rare times that I was there. I never ran into her like doing mics or doing independent shows or doing whatever. Now, is there a whole other black scene that like maybe I'm not a part of? Sure. But like, as far as the major comedy clubs, like, she wasn't on any flyers. And then the thing about Kevin Hart, he was like, no one's ever standing around the block for a sold out Kevin Hart show, which is true. There is no such thing as like a Kevin Hart, like, stand-up comedy career. He just went from 0 to 100. He obviously is a talented guy, but it's not like no one knows Kevin Hart, like, as the guy. He's like, no one ever lined up outside the Comedy Store for a sold out Kevin Hart show. He's like, it never happened. He wasn't there. It wasn't a thing. It's not real.
Well, see, this is where it gets interesting, like, really, obviously.
And then he basically calls him an industry plant. He's like, he's an industry plant. Like, he came in town and he had it all lined up for him, all ready to go. And then, did you get to the part where he said he got every Kevin Hart script?
I saw those clips. I saw some of those clips.
He said he got
I
every Kevin Hart script for 5 years, and he would go back at them and say, just like, I'm not going to do this gay shit. And then they would give it to Kevin Hart.
So there's a lot to unpack here. I do find he's making points. Again, it's so within the business of comedy. It's pretty interesting because I know what he's saying. Kevin Hart. Now, some comics don't have to do this, right? They just get so big, they don't have to do the grind it out. Here's someone I'll use as a different example that did do the grind it out, that started just building, like a Bill Burr, right?
Yeah.
Is getting packed audiences at all these different places, and he's building it up over years, over time. And obviously now he's just like Kevin Hart doing arenas, where Kevin Hart was just a thing already.
But also the Burr thing. I mean, you're going back, dude. When did the Chappelle Show come out?
2003.
Like that, Bill Burr and the racial draft. That was a
That's
lot
what
of
I'm saying.
That was a lot of people's first Bill Burr thing.
But
then
my point is, like, Bill Burr, the reason I'm bringing him up is I moved to LA in 2007. My first like ever spot at the Comedy Store, like a bringer show in the belly room. And there's like 6 people in the audience, right? This is summer of 2007. I had already loved Bill Burr. Bill Burr was a name, but not a name. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I remember we talk about the grind it out. I remember I do my 5 minutes at the Comedy Store at the belly room. Bill Burr popped on right before me. And I remember being like, wow, that was like my first, this is the industry of like, I know who he is, but he's a fucking grinder. He does 5 minutes in front of like 6 people. Then he goes to the open mic, because then I popped down to the open mic. Your point, I'm bringing him into this because, and Katt Williams' point is, the Kevin Harts and the Tiffany Haddish weren't doing like this sort of thing. They weren't popping in to do in front of 5 people to work out new bits from room.
But I think his bigger point is they're pretending they did. It's like you can just be an overnight success.
Sure.
But don't then sit down and do the documentary about the Comedy Store. I remember this. I remember that. The time I did the Comedy Store and we sold out. Like, it never happened. His thing, which is what I love. I've never been so excited because I love people being called out for lying. I love it. I'm in the midst of like, we had to delay the show a little bit. I'm in the midst of like so many things. There's so many scumbags, especially out here. There's so many scumbags that hide behind 10 different LLCs and whatever. And it's like, I love, one of my favorite things is like, because I'm relentless. I'll dig. I will fucking dig. I'll find your boss's private toilet phone number in his fucking beach house. And when he's taking a shit, he gets a call from me. He's like, how did you find me here? Like, because I'm fucking relentless, dude. Like, when you piss me off. And Katt Williams is just like sitting at home one day, watching some Club Shay, hearing a dude lie and being like, hey, can I come on your show? And they're like, sure. And he's like, great. For 3 hours, I want to talk about who in Hollywood is a liar.
Now, obviously, like you said, I've been a big fan of Katt Williams for like 20 years. So it's interesting. Like, I can recite a lot of some of his specials. And I saw him, dude. I think I've told this story. I went down to San Diego. My roommate, we both loved him. This is 2008. We went down and saw him in a theater. We took the train and we were like second row. And at the time, he was like big in 2008, but he still wasn't, quote unquote, more main. I would say he's more mainstream now. Like, let me put it this way. We were some of the only white people in that whole theater.
Yeah.
And we thought for sure he was going to pick on us, like 2 white guys sitting up front. And we loved it. But I do wonder, I think there's a lot of truth to what he's saying, but he's had a lot of problems with the law. And it makes me wonder, because he keeps saying like, he's not on drugs. He's not on that. I'm not saying he is, but we also, I don't know if you remember this, you and I also, and I'm not going to name names, know somebody who directed one of his specials. Do you remember that?
No. Wait. Sounds familiar, but I don't remember who that was.
I'll just say this much. We went to a NCAA tournament basketball game with a comedian buddy of ours, and his friend came.
Oh, that's right.
And he directed one of Katt's specials.
Right.
Now, he only had nice things to say about Katt, because we started talking about Katt Williams, I don't know if you remember, in the drive down, because the game was in Orange County.
Yep.
And he said a lot of great things, but he also was like, Katt wasn't the easiest to work with on the, and this is no surprise, I'm not saying he's doing drugs, the stuff around the special. I don't remember. He said there was a lot of waiting around because Katt and his boys would just be smoking weed for hours upon hours.
Yeah. But he says that on the podcast too. He's like, I smoke weed, I drink. He's like, I've never done any other drugs in my life. I've never done whatever. Everybody like tries to, basically he gets into a point where tries to say everybody's just painting him. Everybody who's trying to paint him as like a crackhead or whatever are just people who want to discredit him because he knows shit. He knows their skeletons.
Yeah.
That is interesting. He at one point says Harvey Weinstein tried to offer to suck his dick in front of people.
I heard that.
It's amazing. And then he's like, and then I show up and there's a bunch of other guys there. And he's like, I said no. What did you say?
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, look, if you're a fan of comedy or anything, I think this is a must watch or must listen to.
I wish it was 5 more hours. I just want to go to sleep to Katt Williams screaming. And Shannon Sharpe is just a guy there.
He is.
Shannon's like, when did you get into comedy? He's like, do you want to list the 200 people in Hollywood who are lying motherfuckers and what they lied about? And Shannon's like, I guess so. Katt, come on, Katt. Come on, Katt. You gonna get me canceled, Katt.
I also knew somebody who used to write for him, a Jewish comic who used to write for him. I do like how Katt doesn't hide and says, hey, I had this bit. Mark Curry helped me punch it up. You know what I'm saying? Like he's because as comics, other people, comics usually talk to comics and we get help from each other. Like, hey, how can I improve this bit? He's willing to give credit in that and say, hey, I had him help me punch it up, because it reminds me of a time I remember Chris Rock. This is probably, I don't know, like 2016, 2017. And I was listening to an interview of him on Howard Stern. And Howard's like, you got writers, right? You get people helping you. And Chris was refusing to admit it. And I'm like, dude, everybody gets help from people. For the most part, right? On bits, or like I'm saying, if you're at that level, you have writers. But it's definitely a fascinating podcast. And let's not forget, remember I had the whole thing with Katt Williams at the Hostel a few years ago?
Yeah.
When he popped in and didn't want to perform, but he loved the show because it was hot that night, and he dropped a bunch of money in the tip jar. And I followed him outside of the hostel and in the street. I was like, you want to perform? And he's like, nah, man, I'm just checking out the show. And he's like, that's a hot little room, man. He's like, you do this every Tuesday? And I'm like, yeah. And I was like, you should come on and do time. But you're right. He doesn't give a shit. I looked at his Twitter today. He doesn't promote. He hasn't done any of that stuff in years.
He doesn't need to. But that's what's also great about him is like so many of those guys, once they catch a little bit of buzz, it's like, I'm never giving this up. I'll never stop bombarding you with me now. And you're like, all right, dude.
But he's rare. Obviously, he's so talented. That's rare that you don't have to promote. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to knock anybody for promoting.
Yeah, but it's just a matter of, like, me, it's always been the thing. It's like, it's a balance too of like, the people who do know about you already, like how much value in the new, like how many people do you need? Like, whereas when it starts getting annoying to the people who already know you, like one of the first people I ever followed on Twitter was Kevin Smith. I love Kevin Smith, love Clerks, love Mallrats, love Chasing Amy, like was a Kevin Smith stan back in the day. I think I followed him for like 3 months. I was like, dude, enough. How much can you hear your own fucking farts? Like how much, like enough. Retweet, everything. The nonstop. And it's just like, now I'm not a fan of Kevin Smith. So you've cost yourself. How many people who weren't already who already didn't love your shit did you really get by retweeting the Smodcast every fucking 8 minutes? As opposed to how many people did you lose? I'll never see the next list because I'm just like, dude, you're annoying now. And Katt Williams just like, I do my own specials. I pay for them. I do the whole fucking thing. Like, honestly, he's always been like, in a way, he's always been on like the outskirts. And now I'm just like, man, and me and my girlfriend were talking about it the other day randomly before any of this happened. We were like, he's the best, but like, you never talk about him. And that's what makes him the best, I think.
So which special were you watching the other day?
World War III.
When did that come out?
Like, must be recently because he's wearing the same shit. Like, he's literally wearing the same chain he's wearing on Club Shay. He's wearing the same fucking
Well, here's
hat.
what's crazy. Guess when that came out?
When?
2022.
Yeah.
Like a year and a half ago, May of 2022. I just think it's interesting. Like, it's like they didn't promote that because I've watched basically all his specials, and I would have watched a Katt Williams special.
Yeah.
Maybe that goes back to the non-promotion thing. You ever seen his first special? You ever seen his like very, very first special?
Yeah. Yeah.
Where he's wearing you know what I'm talking about? In Cincinnati, he's wearing the University of Cincinnati hat.
Yeah. Dude, I think he said he's done 19 of them now.
Well, here's what's fascinating to me. To be fair, I like a lot of comics he's dissing. And I'm not saying like they're my favorite, but I used to love Kings of Comedy. Used to love it. Like I own the DVD.
But it's so funny because I was talking to my girlfriend. I was like, I went and saw it in theaters. Dude, if like Bernie Mac was heads and shoulders. Like it was the Bernie Macs of comedy and Three Guys. Like,
for sure.
He dominated. He was like and everybody else was like, okay. And DL Hughley like hosted and was like, okay. And like, but the other guys, you're like, okay, it's fine. And then you're like, Bernie Mac is a master.
Well, here's the deal. Looking now versus me at 18 watching that, buying the DVD versus now, I totally agree. Now, back then, I believe Steve Harvey was hosting it, but back then...
Right. DL Hughley went first, I think, right?
No, I think might have been, I forget, maybe it was DL, but like DL was doing a lot of crowd work.
Yeah.
My point is now I see what Katt Williams is talking about. Now that I've quote unquote matured as somebody who appreciates comedy in a different light and also understands it better. I know exactly what he's saying, and I know exactly why Bernie Mac kicks all their ass, in my opinion. As far as
because he's a comedian.
Yeah. He's like straight up comic. And the other guys, and I get it, but like his disses that he his disses on Steve Harvey and Cedric the Entertainer, they had me laughing out loud.
He's going at their wives.
It's pretty insane.
But love it.
It does make you think about people popping. And I don't know how this works. I mean, the Tiffany Haddish thing is pretty phenomenal because I didn't really know her. I remember her on Eddie Iff's 24-hour podcast. She was on the podcast like when we showed up or when I showed up. I don't know what time you were. You were there a ton. You were there a lot longer than me. But I remember she was on the mic and I was about to get on the mic and I didn't really know Tiffany Haddish. And then within a year.
Oh, yeah. Massive. Megastar.
She was massive. And I remember being like, wait a second. This was a chick in Eddie's, the old rape cottage doing the 24-hour podcast. Now I'm seeing her in all the movies. I remember just being like, how? I didn't understand it, to be honest. I'm like, how does this happen?
Because she's in, and then that's where the whole, like his whole thing about like calling, basically at the same time as calling Kevin Hart an industry plant, is calling her. It's like, oh, she gets the gatekeepers. Oh, she gets in a movie with Jada. And then it's just, now she's like, her social media is like her on a boat with Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith. And next thing you know, it's like, now they're just like, hey, this is the person we're going to put in a bunch of shit. And then you get to exactly what Katt's talking about. Now she can do arenas. And then she goes to arenas and she gets booed off stage because she can't do fucking 25 minutes because she's not a comic.
I forgot about her getting booed off stage.
And it's like, oh, who is this megastar? Oh, she's a comedian. Oh, she do comedy.
You know what the analogy for that is? They I don't know if you hear this, especially you hear this on Shark Tank. When companies get too big or they expand too quickly when they're doing well.
Yeah.
Right? Like you shouldn't, let's say your business is doing great. You shouldn't just expand to 50 franchises. Sometimes that hurts your business. And that's the analogy, right? Like you blew up, but maybe you shouldn't be doing arenas. You should stick to clubs. It's if you're a fan of comedy, I agree. It's a very interesting, and I'm only an hour in, very interesting podcast.
He's one of those guys. I believe everything he said, except that he was reading 3,000 books a year at 8. Everything besides that,
Yeah.
I was like, was each Wilt Chamberlain girlfriend handing you a book on their way through the door? How are we getting these numbers?
I was quickly trying to do that math in my head. I go, okay, there's 365 days in a year. You're reading 3,000 books a year.
You're reading 2 books, 10 books a day, 8 books a day.
Yeah. I know. I do love Shannon too. Shannon, especially to start, he doesn't know what to do. Shannon's trying to get a word in. He's trying to get.
I mean, come on, Katt. There ain't gonna be no club Shay after this one. We ain't gonna have no Shay. You right.
Shannon's. I don't remember from the beginning. Shannon's like, "Hey man, how much you had to drink?" And Katt's like, "I ain't never had but this. I just had a little sip. Yeah. You had more than me."
You're right. Okay, Katt. I love Shannon Sharpe too, mostly because I think in terms of his sports opinions, like I generally agree with him more than I disagree with him, which is very rare. There's a very rare amount of people who sports takes, and he doesn't talk a lot of baseball. Obviously, he doesn't talk a lot of college football, which I don't watch, but like he's mostly an NFL guy. He's into the NBA. His takes on those things tend to be more things that I agree with than disagree with. But what's funny is we're going back now close to 20 years. I used to do jokes about Shannon Sharpe was just a horse eating sugar cubes and fucking carrots on CBS's pregame show. Then we got now Shannon went to the whole talking head thing. And now Shannon's just in front of a fireplace with cognac interviewing Katt Williams. This is the guy who's just like in an oversized blazer being like, I think the Dolphins are going over here. You have a care for me?
You know what though? It's a good podcast. You know why though? And I haven't listened to many. I listened to the full Marshawn Lynch. I've listened to this. I've listened to some. I don't like him and Ocho as much. I think they talk over each other too much. I think he does it well because he just lets people talk, man.
Right.
I think that's key. He brings on interesting people.
And I think Shannon, I think he also, and maybe I don't know if he does this naturally or if it's thoughtful, but like he does more talking when it's him and Chad. He did way more talking when it was him and Skip because in a way he was like, these motherfuckers don't know what they're talking about. And I do, so I'll talk. But then when he's in a position where it's like the guy does have a personality, where the guy does have a good opinion, where the guy does have whatever, he takes the back seat. And that's smart.
Yeah. No, it is.
Either he's natural at deciding when it's or it's calculated, but either way, he usually picks the right thing. Because I'd rather hear Shannon Sharpe read a CVS receipt than hear Skip Bayless's opinion on literally anything. But I'd rather Shannon sit there and quietly drink cognac while Katt Williams stands on a table for 4 hours.
Something like this, it makes it a great age, I think, for media, for entertainment. I mean, these are the types of things, even just 5 years ago. You wouldn't have access to. I think people are being
even just 5 years ago, the platforms that they're on, everybody would have been telling you, okay, you're going to do it on YouTube. Every episode needs to be 10 minutes. And now they're like, every episode should be 5 hours. Katt Williams like, I got you.
No, it's true. It's. I mean, the future.
That's like this show too. You know, people are probably listening, going, "Get to sports." We will. I mean, it's not like we're not going to cover all the games.
but you know what else is interesting too? The long form is working now, and so is the short form. I mean, the TikToks and the Instagram Reels that are 60 seconds or less, all those have still never been more popular. So both spaces, they both work, and I love that Shannon has this because, and he's talked about it. You know, he can get fired from any of these other jobs, and dude, you got your own thing. You don't need ESPN or Fox.
Which is a nice segue into, you know, our boy Pat McAfee, who came out in his first sleeved shirt in a while yesterday, because he's not a FanDuel sponsored podcast anymore, and he's an ESPN guy. All of a sudden, he had Aaron Rodgers come on the show, take a shot at another Disney, ABC, ESPN employee, wildly accusing a random fucking essentially coworker of Pat's of being a pedophile, and then Pat had to show up the next day. I'm surprised they didn't put Pat in a little bow tie, like he was having his first communion. They were like, "You're gonna wear a little white suit, you're gonna hold the rosary, and you're gonna apologize to your overlords." And then Pat did it. And that's the other thing. Pat did it. And it's like, you don't need to do that if you're just still a podcast in Indianapolis that gets $50 million from FanDuel or whatever it is, or DraftKings.
Well, he is. He still is. He's still in Indianapolis. It's just,
I know, but he's in Hollywood now.
No, he is 100%. 100%. And you know, I was curious how that would play out because, right, obviously Jimmy Kimmel and Aaron Rodgers have a beef. Both shows are owned by Disney. I'd be surprised if Aaron Rodgers continues to keep coming on the show.
You'd be surprised if he keeps coming on the show.
Yeah, I would. I think executives at Disney are gonna make some sort of decision. I mean, look, the whole thing to me is ridiculous. The whole thing that Jimmy Kimmel again goes at him about the Epstein list. Obviously, I think Aaron Rodgers is trying to just make a joke back. We talked about this on text.
Yeah.
It's not easy to discern when he's making a joke because
that's the thing about Aaron Rodgers is I feel like I know, but also, dude, nobody, like, your comedic chops are horrible. Like, if you're going to do bits, do bits. But if you're just going to, like, he says everything with a, like, what's real and what's not real then? You know what I mean? What are you joking about? So it was like when you were joking about the UFOs and the Epstein client list, was that a joke or was that real? And then when you bring it back, when you bring the Epstein client list up about Jimmy Kimmel, is that a joke or is that real?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying.
Because he's terrible at comedy.
It's tough to tell.
And
I don't know.
Here's the other thing, though, and I'll say this, and we've talked about it. Like, Pat was great with us. We have now reached the Pat McAfee, Jimmy Fallon laugh no matter what your guest says, especially in the Aaron Rodgers interview. Like the looking aside and the laughing and the AJ Hawk laughing. And it's like, this is when Jimmy Fallon, there's never been a person on the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon that Jimmy Fallon didn't think was the single funniest human being to ever walk the earth. We got Bill Nye the Science Guy. You got Ariana Grande. You got Emma Stone. You got Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey and Ariana Grande equally as funny to Jimmy Fallon. That is so good. It's so good. You know,
Yeah.
and now, like, no matter what Aaron Rodgers says, Pat McAfee laughs, and it's like Shannon, meanwhile, on the Katt thing is like, oh man, I'm never gonna have another show after this. You can't be saying all this stuff on my show, Katt. What you doing out here? There ain't gonna be no Club CJ after this.
Well, that's why, and you know, I have no problem saying this. I've never understood why he went to ESPN, and that's for him to decide, and for him, you know, that's fine. But from my point of view, but you're saying money, but his FanDuel deal was for 4 years, 120 million. So that's 30 million a year. Now I know he had to pay his staff from that. So let's do the math. That's 30 million a year. The ESPN deal, at least what's known publicly. I don't know what's back end.
Yeah, what you don't know is then he's getting the bonus when he goes and does the
And
fucking
maybe stock
options,
options
and when
with
he goes
Disney.
to do this, when he goes to do, you know, game day, when he goes to, and they're having him host the ESPYs, he's just like,
yeah, I don't know, but I'm saying the ESPN deal is 18 million, so that's a difference in 12 million. I don't know if that's what, if he's off, and again, that's fine. I'm not telling anybody what to do. I'm just saying, to say that it's not going to affect, because all of us are affected. It's true. All of us. We're affected by who's paying us. So he made the mistake, in my opinion, of being like, this show will never be affected when I go to ESPN. Come on, man. You know it's going to be affected. That's fine. But don't say that it's not going to be affected. Everybody's affected by everything. So it's I don't know. It's interesting. I think independence, again, to bring it back to Shannon Sharpe, like you said, I think that's what's so cool, is that whether it's him or any other podcast, when you're completely independent and you have a base, like Shannon Sharpe, all his sponsors could withdraw. He's like, cool, withdraw. I'll get people to pay for this because it's a good show.
yeah.
I don't know. I just, we'll watch it play out. I'd be shocked again, long term, if Aaron Rodgers continues to go on that show. So I don't know.
Also, Aaron Rodgers has one more year for the Jets, and then he'll ride off into the sunset
and start his own podcast
and talk all his own conspiracy theories.
This, like, he's definitely changed.
I hope he co-hosts it with Woody Johnson, and it's just called Mr. Johnson and Johnson's. That's what I hope.
I don't think it's going to happen.
Or maybe he hosts it with Ocho Cinco, and he just calls it Mr. Johnson and Chad Johnson. Mr. Johnson and Chad Johnson.
Well, regardless,
Honestly, I think you should host it with Sam Tripoli.
how many pods is he up to nowadays?
Tripoli?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
He has a lot of podcasts. Like, I think he has around like 7 or 8.
Good for Sam. Because Sam's going to be screaming at somebody 24 hours a day. Sam is going to be screaming every waking hour of his day, no matter what. You may as well record it. If you have fans that'll listen to all of it, you may as well record it.
Yeah, I'm trying. I mean,
what he's probably doing, he probably just has a lav mic on. So when he's in the Comedy Store green room with me on like Eddie Iff show and he's screaming at me about conspiracy theories, he just puts it out as content.
I'm on his website. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
8.
Eight podcasts.
So if you do a podcast a day, you've got to be doing 2 podcasts in at least one day.
Bro, there's a lot going on here. Anyway. You want to
Yes, I do.
pick a little football? Talk a little football?
Let's do it.
Week 18. So you got to make up 3 games. Not that it really matters because we're not really doing this for anything.
Yeah. But it's not. First of all, it's not too late for that. I mean, I wouldn't be making a crazy wager right now, down 3 games of the week to go. But also, I'd be open to suggestions. If we wanted to roll this through the playoffs or something like that.
Look at you. Okay.
I'm just saying, if we're not,
Okay. We'll think about it. We'll let that stew. So we have 2 games on Saturday. Dude, when did the NFL just say we're taking over Saturdays? I don't remember there being this many.
Yeah, it is.
There used to be, growing up, there was always like a Saturday game. Now it's like we're going to start the full month of December.
Yeah, exactly. Well, also bowl games became more and more like, basically it's a college football thing. They started being like, well, if you guys are going to play on Saturday, we'll play on Saturday.
Yeah.
No Thursday night game this week, right? Or is there?
No Thursday night game.
Okay. So we're done with Thursday.
We're done with Thursday. So Saturday we have one matchup is interesting because starters aren't going to be playing. You have the Steelers and Ravens in Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
Lamar Jackson's not playing. A lot of starters aren't playing. I believe most. Steelers are 4-point favorites. So here's my take.
In Baltimore?
Yeah. Dude, I don't think Mason Rudolph's put together back-to-back nice games. Steelers have to win, and they still have a slim shot, even at 10-7, of making the playoffs. I think the Ravens win the game.
Wow. Steelers are 4-point faves?
They're 4-point favorites.
I hate that.
Here's my thing. Like Tyler Huntley, I think he's a good
Did
backup.
I just find out his name is Snoop?
Yeah, they call him Tyler. But it's Tyler Huntley, but it's Snoop.
Okay.
Call him Snoop. I think he's a great backup for their system.
But how many of the starters are not going to play? That's the question, right? Well, this is that time of year. I hate that it's 4. I fucking hate that it's 4. But it's that time of year. I'll go with the Steelers because we'll go starters out. No matter what happens, maybe they get a couple points early, and then they're like, "Yeah, see, we're good," and then they bail. I would love if it was 2.5. I would love if it was 1.5. I hate that it's 4, but it's that time of year. Starters out. Also, Mason Rudolph's going to throw 8 picks because I bet against him last week because I was like, we're not getting back-to-back good Mason Rudolph games. So, of course, we'll get 3. We'll get 2, and then we'll get a third one where he takes a dump. All right. Fuck it. Fine.
So you're taking the Steelers.
Yeah.
So if they do win, they're 10-7. Do you think Mike Tomlin's job's in jeopardy, win or lose?
Why? Of all the years. See, this is what's wrong with.
I don't know. Dude, I personally, I think he should stay. I'm just saying what I see.
I think Mike Tomlin. What's crazy to me is I was the Mike Tomlin. This is why I hate kind of just like your average fan. When you make the playoffs with a great team and you lose in the first or the second round, Mike Tomlin is the most underrated coach in all sports. He blah, 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 blah. And he's a god and we'll never fire him. When your team sucks and you're a borderline playoff team, now we're firing Mike Tomlin? I almost feel like Mike Tomlin's proven to me that he wasn't an overrated coach the last 2 seasons. Before that, I was sure he was overrated because you had the quarterback, you had the receivers, you had the running back, you had the defense. And every year, the Patriots, more recently the Chiefs, and at least one other team during the most of that run beat your ass in the playoffs. So you got beat by the Ravens, you got beat by this team, you got beat by that team. It's like you had fucking really, really good teams. And Ben Roethlisberger is looking like he's incompetent at some points. And we're like, never had a losing record. Still hasn't had a losing record. Now has fucking major holes at major skill positions.
Look, I agree. What sucks is, I mean, shit, dude. They'd be right there in the playoffs if they just laid an egg twice at home.
I think I saw 9-3 in non-Trubisky games.
Wow. Well, that's the thing. Those Trubisky games at home, they laid an egg against Arizona and New England back-to-back weeks. They were 7-4. I think around when that happened. So your next game on Saturday night, huge playoff implications. 9-7 Texans against 9-7 Colts in Indy. Houston's a 1.5 favorite.
And do we know what is the specifics of the playoff implications? Does winner of this game likely in?
It's too confusing for me.
Okay.
Because the Jags have the same record. So the Jags win, they're straight up in.
The Jags win because they currently have a tiebreaker and are in. So if they win, they're in. Correct. But also the Colts are currently a playoff team today.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. I'm going to take the Texans to win the game and cover the spread.
You're going with the rookie CJ Stroud over Gardner Minshew. Two coaches who are going to get good coach of the year votes, and they should. I mean, DeMeco Ryans, to me, is pretty close to Kevin Stefanski for coach of the year. He took over a team that I think I saw had won, I don't know, 11 games in the previous 2 seasons.
Let's also, I know we talked about last week. I know
Texans are winning in, I believe.
What's that? Texans are winning.
I see comments. Texans are winning in.
So we talked about it last week, and I don't know if you would agree with this statement or not, but I think do you believe from Lamar Jackson's game last week that Lamar Jackson deserves the MVP? Or do you believe from Lamar Jackson's game last week that Lamar Jackson won the MVP?
He won it for sure.
Agreed. I said the same thing, and I think we both agreed. We kind of listed the people that were in the mix for us. And I am still of the opinion, like, I'm not sure Lamar Jackson is the league's most valuable player. I think he's 100% going to win it now. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But I was thinking about it before, like, he's clearly going to probably get Rookie of the Year unless it's Nakua. But CJ Stroud, if you look at the games he missed and the games that he played, like, is CJ Stroud the league MVP? They were a dog shit team last year. He comes, they're in the playoff hunt. The only reason they're not already in the playoffs is because he missed some games. Is CJ Stroud literally the most valuable player to his team? And this is from me. And by the way,
to his individual team, yes.
Right. The most valuable player. Well, that's all you can be, right?
Sure.
The most valuable player to your team. Like Christian McCaffrey is in the conversation, or was in the conversation, for the most valuable player. Not when he was on the Panthers, because, like, what's your value? You know what I mean? And this is like, I know everybody wants to say, oh, fucking Joe Prano, never fucking wrong. Again, I know nothing about college quarterbacks. I just said that about Drake May. I just said that about Caleb Williams. I just said that about fucking, dude, obviously I was wrong when I said I thought Josh Rosen would be an okay QB. Like, I don't watch college football. I judge this on like the 13 seconds of highlights I get from a guy, in mock draft season. But I was wrong that like I wouldn't draft a Ohio State quarterback because CJ Stroud to me might be by definition the most valuable player to his team. They were horrible last year.
That's a tough one to argue against. I would make the point. He's definitely so valuable.
Like without CJ Stroud, I know a lot has changed. They got a new coach, they got new weapons, they got new whatever. But without CJ Stroud, they were awful last year. Without Lamar Jackson, they're still a playoff team.
I mean, they faltered. To be fair, they faltered. They made the playoffs.
And they almost won a playoff game.
They almost won on the road.
Like we have, neither of us have apparently like sucked Tua off to the liking of Dolphins fans. But last year when Tua went down toward the end of the season and we watched like an 11-6 or 11-4 or whatever, basically a baseball game between Joe Flacco and Skylar Thompson at the end of the year, we knew that the Dolphins were not winning that playoff game. They were like, you're not winning a playoff game. Skylar Thompson, it's like the gap between Skylar Thompson and Tua for a guy who doesn't suck off Tua enough is massive.
Yeah, it's a big gap.
The gap between Lamar Jackson and Tyler Huntley, smaller than that gap.
So you like the Colts
Lamar
to
Jackson
win?
is significant. No, I like the Texans.
Sorry, Texans. You like the Texans to win and cover.
And I feel like I should have let you pick before I went on my CJ Stroud MVP campaign.
That's fine. I'm going to take the Colts.
Let's fucking go.
We'll have two different picks to start. I think rookie. I'm just saying rookie, big game on the line. It's a tell game. I don't know if he's ready yet. We'll see.
Well, listen, look, fucking Colts. I don't know if I've already said this and if Mata has already proven me wrong, but Mata, like, I am convinced the Colts have fucked me. At least the last, like,
I do
6
find
weeks.
it like the Colts are a 1.5 dog at home. Is there something I'm missing?
Well, let me tell you something, Andy. The last couple weeks in the NFL, I am Rocky in Rocky 1. Like, rematch. Like, I might not be dead, but like I'm going to the hospital, and every week I'm like, is there something I don't know? And then for the last couple of weeks, I've been like, I don't get it. And then I bet the way I think it's supposed to be, and I've just gotten hammered. So I am now Vegas's bitch. Whatever. Okay. Like, I don't get it. Well, then I guess I'm riding with you.
Yeah.
I don't get why the Texans are favored on the road in a Week 18 game with a rookie quarterback. And that's why I'm in. Let's ride.
All right. Well, one game we do know they're basically sitting all the starters is this next one. Bengals. Browns are sitting their starters. This spread has just continued to go in favor of the Bengals. Bengals are now 7-point favorites.
Wow.
You know, like for Zach
Where's
Taylor,
the game?
it's in Cincinnati. Zach Taylor, winning record. I think that's going to be a thing that people look back on. Right? So far, he's had 2 winning records, 2 losing records. As a coach, can he get a 3rd winning record? That's a big spread. The Bengals technically have nothing to play for. This could be a game where they just completely blow them out. I'm taking the Browns. I know 7's just a lot, man. It's still a division game. It's a rivalry state game. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked. If the Bengals win by 3 touchdowns, I wouldn't be shocked, but it's a lot.
I'm also on the Browns. They've played a lot. They've played a bunch of games with backups already and won.
Yeah, but like everybody, I'm saying like, they'll be sitting all those defensive starters. All right. Lions, Vikings. I don't know the starter situation here for the Lions because they're locked into that 3 seed, I believe. Detroit is a 3.5-point favorite.
Sorry, say that again.
Detroit is 3.5-point favorites.
Where's the game?
It's in Detroit.
The Detroit sitting players? Or Detroit's fighting for a seed still?
Dan Campbell is saying he's going to play the starters.
Okay, I'll take the Lions then. I don't believe in the Vikings.
Win or lose, Detroit will be the number 3 seed. If everything goes their way, they could possibly move up to the number 2.
Yeah, I'm going to take Detroit.
I am also going to take Detroit. I mean, the Vikings got absolutely boat raced by the Packers. I guess shirtless Kirk Cousins and shirtless Kirk Cousins' son didn't give him any, bump. What are they doing, by the way? Like, you're such a dork, man. And you're not like, hey, shirtless, we're all like laughing. We're just like, you just look dorky, shirtless.
Yeah.
It's cringe. All right. Jags, Titans. Jags are 3.5-point favorites. It's in Nashville. This is a must-win game for the Jags. Titans laid an egg last week. I believe I took them. Oh, they actually came back in that game. They lost 16-15, but they were down 16-0.
Sorry, one sec.
No, you do your thing. Here's my, I have a take on this. Not really a take. I think the Titans show up, man. They got nothing to lose. They're at home. Say what you want about Mike Vrabel, and I know Alex from Kentucky has a lot to say about him. They usually play hard, though, under Mike Vrabel. And I think they're going to show up ready to play. And the Jags have struggled this year. I don't know if the Jags lose. I do think the Titans cover the spread.
Is it 3.5?
3.5. They're at home. I think the Titans cover.
I think they do too. I think the opportunity to play spoiler.
What is this update from Spectrum? We're preparing for potential outages during the storm. Is there supposed to be a storm here? What are they talking about? Snowstorm? I don't see anything on my radar. What are you talking about, Brano? Saturday, maybe? Why am I getting these text messages? You guys are scaring me. I'm live through my podcast. Wait, what are you talking about?
Me?
No, I'm just talking out loud.
Yeah.
I'm getting a text about potential storm. Whatever. I don't got time for this shit. Okay. I do like the idea of a snowstorm Saturday, though.
For football?
Fire going. I'm big into the fire right now. I'm big into the fireplace. It's just a nice little, it's winter. Okay. What do we got? Jets, Patriots. Ooh, here's a game nobody really cares about. New England's a 2-point favorite at home. Zach Wilson is not playing. I believe he's played his last games for the Jets. This is one of those games that it doesn't matter at all. But who's going to win? You're up first on this. Jets, Patriots, Pats 2-point favorites at home.
Who's got anything to play for at this point?
They don't. This would
I'll
just
take
affect the draft.
I'll take the Jets because the Jets are stupid enough to win.
You could say the same argument for the Patriots.
Yeah, you could. I guess the question is like, is Belichick going out the door a win? Like,
I think he is, and I think that's why the Patriots win and cover. Wow, we got a lot of different picks already. Let's spice things up. Okay, Falcons Saints at our place, the Superdome in New Orleans. Saints are 3.5-point favorites. A must-win game for them.
It's 3?
It's 3.5. I'm up first. I'm gonna take the Falcons.
It's the half point, man.
It's the half point.
It's the half point. I'm also taking the Falcons. Because I just think it's obvious that this comes down to a kick. Everybody's in the mix, right? Bucks are in the mix.
Yeah. That's the next game. I mean, if the Bucks lose and the Saints win the division.
Yeah.
Now the Bucks have a much easier game. They play the Panthers.
Yeah.
It's in Carolina. The Bucks are 4.5-point favorites. David Tepper was fined a whole $300,000 for that, which to a multi-billionaire is like me being fined $5.
Yeah.
You know what they should do? They should have to force David Tepper to allow Florida man in his owner's suite next time. Whatever Florida man wearing the Jags jersey. Or maybe just a group of Jags fans should be allowed in the owner's suite.
I feel like, do we both think the Bucks win this game and cover?
Well, you do, it seems like.
I mean, I do, because I'm like, it's so funny. It's like, there's all this talk. DeMar Hamlin died on a football field, and there's this talk of like Baker Mayfield fucking comeback player of the year.
DeMar's going to win it.
Yeah. But like, suddenly we're like, it feels crazy to me. Suddenly we're like confident in like Baker Mayfield, but it's like, I guess, unless there's just like a week 18 rebakering.
4.5's a lot, though. I know the Panthers are 2-14. It's just still a lot to me. Because these teams like this that have nothing to play for are dangerous.
I know.
You see it all the time. And the games are always closer than people think. It just sucks. The Bucks got killed last week, and so did the Panthers. I'm going to go with the Bucks. I don't know what else. Are you taking the Bucks?
I'm taking the Bucks.
Okay. Bears, Packers. Ooh. A little game here for the Packers to make the playoffs. Packers are 3-point favorites at Lambeau. Jordan Love putting together a nice little year overall for his first year as a full-time starter. He'll cross 4,000 passing yards. He already has 30 touchdowns. Put together a nice little year. Do the Bears spoil it? What do you think?
Am I at first?
Yeah, I think so.
I do not think the Bears spoil it. I think the Justin Fields.
I was hoping you'd say they would.
It's funny. I've talked about it a couple times now. Like, no, Justin Fields is a freak athlete, dude. And I talked about it last episode about a running quarterback isn't my long-term plan. I guess I just don't understand how we do this. Like, it seems like there's no rhyme and reason. Like, what? Like, he seems like a nice guy. Fun as hell to watch. But like, why do we keep why do we keep pretending that like why does he get the bet? Like of all the guys who have come in and been like, meh, dude, they're throwing Kyler Murray under the bus early in the year, last year, whatever. Kyler Murray's made started undefeated for a couple of weeks. We've been to a playoff game. But it's like, oh, are we sure we're done with Justin Fields? Listen, I just don't think the Bears in week 18 are going into Lambeau. Like, I just don't like, you're a 500 team at best. Like, I have no confidence in you.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Packers too.
Kind of the inconsistency is like, why? Like, you had a fun one last week.
I'm gonna take the Packers as well. All right, Broncos Raiders. Jared Stidham starting again. Vegas is a 3-point favorite. This is in Las Vegas. This is like, what do you do here?
Broncos are a 3-point favorite in Las Vegas?
No, they're dogs.
Oh, okay.
The Raiders are 3-point favorites. This is a tough one.
This is a tough one. As
far as really tough
picks
one.
Go.
To me, matters. Can the Raiders like get enough turnovers? I'm gonna take the Broncos. I took them last week. I'm gonna take them again.
I'll take the Raiders.
Oh, the
Raiders. I was probably gonna flip it no matter who you said, but also at the same time, it's like it feels like with everything going on with the Broncos, it feels like a week 18 loss with Stidham is just gonna make the drama that much more dramatic. There's gonna be like people are already like turning on Sean Payton. People are already like jumping in the fucking. But if you go 2-0 with Stidham down the stretch, you've kind of quieted that a little bit, right? And you kind of justify it. I predict more drama than I predict less drama. So I'm going L, and the drama ensues.
Okay. Eagles, Giants. Eagles are 4.5-point favorites. You've lost a couple in a row, I think, on your Giants, and I've taken them. At least last week.
2 weeks ago, I didn't lose, right? Because I took the
correct.
Giants.
You're right.
Yeah. Last week I was surprised. Like, I was less surprised with how the Giants played and more surprised with how the Rams played. I thought the Rams were, grooving, and then were grooving, and then it like fell apart on them late in the game. This is a tough one. Again, not because I'm concerned with how the Giants are going to play. I think the Giants will play how they've been playing the last few weeks under Tyrod Taylor. But what are the Eagles? Are the Eagles going to right their ship against a team that they have been consistently kicking the shit out of for God knows how long, and go into the playoffs with something? Or I mean, they lost to the fucking Cardinals.
I'm taking you go.
Am I up first?
Yeah,
I'm taking the Giants.
So am I.
Can we talk about the Eagles? Like, what's your give me a percentage out of 100% chance the Eagles make the Super Bowl?
I have 100.
Yeah,
10%.
10%. 10% seems high. They play this postseason 10 times. The Eagles make it 1 out of the 10.
Well, the NFC's, the NFC.
Right. Like, I'd almost say if you played the NFC playoffs 10 times, I feel like the Niners win it 6 times. The Lions win it once. You know what I mean? The Cowboys win it once. The whatever, like, the Eagles win it 1 out of 10 times you play. I'm closer to 5%, I think.
Okay. I mean, look, I read this article in the Athletic. It was saying, is there anything to teams getting hot? They're talking about the Browns. And it was an interesting article. They showed wild card teams that won the Super Bowl. So you had since 2000 wild card teams that won the Super Bowl, which would be, I believe, the Packers. Were your Giants a wild card both times, or just one time?
No, just one time.
Just one time. The Packers, the Giants, the Bucks recently were wild card. I think we forget that.
Right. The
Saints
Steelers
won that. And the Steelers, correct. A lot of them were playing good football.
Right.
But not all of them. But they contradicted that by teams that were playing good football that weren't wild cards. That just shit the bed. So there's not necessarily a science behind it. The reason I'm bringing this up is obviously the Eagles aren't playing good football. Like the year the Colts won the Super Bowl, they had lost 3 of their last 4.
Right.
They also won the division. So so they had that position come in the playoffs. I don't know.
I mean, the Eagles have a chance to win the division still.
They do.
I got to say, just as a Giants fan, I love it. Like, Eagles fans came into this season halfway through the season, just like, this is a dynasty. I'm like, you guys haven't even won anything yet. Oh, we're going to be the best team. Oh, Howie Roseman's a genius. Oh, look at this. Oh, we got Jalen Hurts. Oh, I got the MVP. Oh, we did the best receivers in football. Well, one of your best receivers hates your team now, apparently. Hates the quarterback. AJ Brown, apparently, undoing the locker room. He gone.
All right, Seahawks, Cardinals. This one's in Arizona. The Seahawks are 2.5-point favorites. Seahawks have to win. And then get some help. And the Packers have to lose. Because the Rams have already clinched. There's only one spot with the Rams and Cowboys clinching.
Right.
Is Kyler Murray going to continue to play spoiler? I'm up first. I'm going to go Cardinals.
Wow. Holy shit. Did not see that coming. I'll take Pete Carroll division game. Got to get in. It's 2 points. If it was 4, I might be with you. It's 2. I'll go
2.5, but
yeah. Well, it's a field goal game.
All right. Chiefs, Chargers. Chiefs are sitting starters. It's in LA. Chargers are 3.5-point favorites.
No, I'll take the Chiefs.
I'm taking the Chiefs too.
Chiefs are sitting starters. I was like, do the Chargers have starters? Is Marianne Doe fucking splitting time with Easton Stick?
Marianne Doe. Unbelievable. All right. Rams, Niners. I believe Matthew Stafford's sitting, right?
Yes, I believe that's correct. Carson Wentz will be playing.
Now, the Niners are still 4-point favorites. Niners are going to sit a bunch of starters, obviously.
It's in
Santa Clara.
Okay.
Who went first? You took the Chiefs?
Yeah.
I'm going to take the Niners.
Damn.
4's a lot, though.
4 is that's the thing. 4. Niners are sitting, I assume, most everybody.
You'd assume, right?
I'll take the Rams. I'll take it just being close. I'll take the Rams in a battle of backups. Carson Wentz trying to show what he can do. Can you imagine I'm betting on Carson Wentz?
Let's see here. What do we got? Cowboys, Commanders. Dallas is a 13-point favorite.
Jeez.
They have something to play for. It's in Maryland.
I'm up. I'll take the Commanders.
Really?
Yep.
I'll take the Cowboys.
13 is a lot. I know the Cowboys love to beat up on bad teams, but like I think the Commanders just like show some fight. The Cowboys have something to play for, but the Cowboys are also in.
True. All right, your game of the week. Bills, Dolphins in Miami.
I think we both just say who we think's going to win, and that's all we say about the game.
I'm going to play a call real quick.
No.
Hey boys, it's Dirtball Zay again, here to touch base on the Dolphins again. So right off the bat, let me just say that any quote unquote Dolphin fan who is messaging you or DMing you guys about a lack of coverage or respect, they're probably either too young or they haven't been a fan long enough of the Dolphins to know the situation the Dolphins are in historically. They're on a 23 playoff winless drought, okay?
23 years.
Let me say that again. 23 years. They've had 4 playoff appearances since. All 4 times bounced in the wild card round, all right? And one of those was a playoff home game against the Ravens in 08. It's a funny season to look back at in hindsight, by the way. That's the Tom Brady getting his knee shredded by Bernard Pollard season. If you're wondering how the hell the Dolphins won the division in that year. But, yeah. Any Dolphin fan who's coming at you with this need of respect or whatever, and you can just go ahead and reply to them with a single letter. K. Because they're on serious, okay? Their expectations are on serious. This whole Super Bowl mentality, like, get the fuck out of here. Win a playoff game, okay? You want real expectations? This is what I thought of coming into this year. For them to have a successful season, they had to, like, I don't know, win 10 or 11 games, right? They're already there, fine. But the other part was win a playoff game. You win a playoff game, maybe you can shed the paper tiger label, you know? That's the only way. But, yeah. That's about it, boys. Condoms are for the Dolphins until they shed the paper tiger label, you know? It hurts a little inside, but it's the truth. All right? Have a good one, boys. Bye.
I think we both that's where I'm at. I agree. Like, dude, win a playoff game. Then it's the launching pad for next season.
And here's the thing: they have a halfway decent shot of winning a playoff game if they win this game, unless, of course, they have to play this game again next week
in Buffalo,
right?
Like they did last year.
Well, no, right. Would Miami potentially run to the no? Because if Miami wins, they're the 2.
Oh, I was saying if Miami lost, that they would.
If Miami wins this game, they have a really good chance of winning a playoff game. Unless, of course, Buffalo still somehow sneaks into the 7, and then I actually don't like it. But so you essentially have 2 weeks. In a way, you have 2 opportunities to shed the paper tiger, even though, let me just say this. Even though I think winning a playoff round game is what a paper tiger would do, just a wild card round, and that's it, right? So
I think based on their history, dude, they haven't won a playoff game in 23 years,
right? So it's funny that we're talking about like you're now the Lions. You're now the Lions. You're now the Lions. Where if you win a playoff game, we're throwing you a goddamn parade. The only undefeated team. Don Shula, Dan Marino. If you win a playoff game now, you get a parade. Oh, Jesus Christ. This is where we are? The Miami Dolphins?
Well, I mean, this is where
Larry
they are.
Zonka is rolling over in his fucking grave.
But this is where they are, the last quarter of the century.
Zonka alive? I don't know.
I think he recently passed.
Larry Zonka is rolling over in the American Gladiators hamster wheel.
You think he's still alive?
I think he's still alive, but I don't know.
He's
Anyway,
still alive. Good for him.
Pop the champagne. Larry
It's
Zonka
crazy how
still
CTE just.
undefeated against CTE. Yeah.
I mean, he could have, but like, it's amazing how just some people just like.
Yeah.
Born on Christmas Day, by the way.
Wow. There you go.
Look at
Happy
that
birthday,
stash.
Larry Zonka.
What a great stash.
Happy birthday from me and Turbo. I think. What's the spread on this game?
It's 3 points.
And it's in Buffalo.
No, it's in Miami.
It's in Miami, and Buffalo's
A 3-point favorite.
a 3-point favorite in Miami.
This is what I said last episode. It says a lot about the state of the Dolphins.
Yeah, I'm going to take Buffalo. I think you had two opportunities to not be paper Tigers, even though again, your wild card, and I don't think you do either of them.
I'm going to take Buffalo as well. Buffalo's had their number. I mean, if Miami wins, I wouldn't be shocked, but that's a nice little Sunday night game to end the regular season.
Yeah. And what's amazing, here's what it's like to be me and you in some regard. And this is, again, what we talked about last episode. Dude, Buffalo, Miami for the 2 seed. Sunday night. What a great, I get to just sit back, kick up my feet, watch it. I don't give a fuck, dude. This has nothing to do with me. Until last week. And now I'm a Buffalo Bills fan. Send me give me a Josh Allen jersey. Let's fucking go. I didn't give a fuck. This is so cool. 2 AFC East teams. The Jets are out of it because fucking Aaron Rodgers does thing. The Patriots are dog shit. Now this team, this all comes down the first time in forever that we get a meaningful AFC East game that doesn't involve the Patriots. Let's fucking go. And I don't care. Just let's watch football. It's like me watching fucking Alabama, Michigan. I couldn't give a shit about either of those teams. And then here I am. Now I got to root for the fucking Bills.
You don't have to root for the Bills.
Oh, now I do. Yeah. Mike McDaniel fucking in Miami in December. Wear fucking full pants, dude. Dan Soder needs to come get his boy.
Is that his boy?
You know this? They were friends growing up?
No. I'm going to take the Bills as well, man. I just.
Dude, can you imagine the Bills jump to the 2 seed after all this? They basically haven't been a playoff team till last week. Now they're about to be the 2 seed potentially. That's the only thing that scares me.
Now, I was about to say a tough place to play, but fuck, man. They got manhandled in the snow by the Bengals last year. If Josh Allen just doesn't turn the ball over, they're so hard to beat. They're so hard to beat when he doesn't turn the ball over. He just gets reckless. All right, I'm going to play one call. We got this. I've been sitting on this call. I'll actually be curious what you say about this. Because a lot of people have a lot of takes on this on Twitter.
Okay. Can't wait to hear this.
Hi, Joe and Andy. This is Nick D'Alessandro, previously of Ann Arbor, Michigan. and currently in Stamford, Connecticut. And I just kind of had I guess, an NFL journalism question. As people with journalism/English backgrounds, I wanted to get your perspective on it. So I'm sure you've seen it on Twitter, but there are these Twitter aggregators. So like there's like ML Football and Dove Kleiman and Ari Myrov and people like this, where they'll just aggregate other people's tweets from all different insiders from the NFL, and then they'll just tweet it out. And because of that, they have a big following. They'll now get ad money from Twitter. And then they'll also have kind of like engagement tweets where they're like, ask a question. Because of that, they'll get high engagement, they'll get money. So I'm sure you know about this. If you don't, then there's a little rundown. I just wanted to kind of get your question or get your opinion on this from like a journalism ethics perspective. I don't really know how I feel about it. It's kind of like a newer thing. So, yeah, I just wanted to see how you kind of feel about it. I know some people kind of get annoyed by it and kind of get annoyed that they're maybe passing off their work or other people's work as theirs. But at the same time, they are crediting the source. So, yeah, I just wanted to get your opinion on it. Thanks a lot. Keep up the great work. And, yeah, have a good one. See ya.
So have you seen some of the debates on this?
Of course.
I have.
Yeah. Oh, no, I haven't seen any of the debates on it. I mean, obviously, I know about these things.
Especially the Dove Kleiman guy was taking a lot of heat within the last year because he wasn't really crediting, which, it's kind of the Wild West now. Like, let's say Adam Schefter would post a tweet and he'd basically just say the same thing.
Right. And he does it immediately.
They all do.
Right. Because he's obviously got alerts set. He might even have a fucking thing set up to AI set up to repost like a Schefter thing immediately with a different wording.
Now some of these guys like, and I follow most of these guys definitely on Dirty Sports, like the My Sports Update, like the Ari, is it Myrov? Yeah. He doesn't ever post, to my knowledge, his opinions. What's funny to me is some of these other guys start posting their opinions, and you're like, I don't give a fuck about your opinion.
Yeah.
Like I follow just to see the news. Like I've noticed that ML Football does that now. And that one's grown significantly. And it's like, dude, I don't care about your opinion.
Yeah.
At all. In fact, like that's like I can tell you ML Football, whoever runs that is just a young Twitter dork. You're a dork. You know nothing about football. You try to post your opinions. Stick to just posting facts or news, whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, I listen, Twitter at this point also, like Twitter with just being like essentially an aggregator, it's lame as fuck, but at the same time, it's like, okay, I guess don't follow it or whatever, because yeah, it's very lame not to credit people, and it's very lame not to just like put aggregator of football content in your bio. But but obviously these people know exactly what they're doing, and it's a way for them to get money, and it's a way for them to get clout, and it's a way for whatever. I also hate like the fucking Jordan Schultz. Insiders tell Jordan Schultz, the fuck, dude, you're just a fucking dude out there whose dad owns fucking Starbucks, first of all. Like, and you're like, you're just like the ultimate Nepo baby. And so, fucking 10 people, 10 probably big agents in the sports world, because you didn't want to fucking run Daddy's Coffee Company. You're like, I like basketball. He's like, all right, why don't we fucking get you involved in the NBA? This is this guy. And then you go insider 2 minutes before fucking news breaks. You put out the news that's going to break anyway. And you go, insider sources tell Jordan Schultz. Like, bro, what the fuck? Like, you're just a guy with a fucking Twitter account and an Instagram account posing as a fucking sports journalist.
So I don't know him. So he's Bleachers Report's NFL insider. That's what he lists.
Yeah. And he used to host podcasts. He used to hilariously host podcasts with CJ McCollum. And that's now defunct. And he's Howard Schultz's kid.
Oh, I didn't know any of that.
Yeah. And that's why some people will fucking like reply to tweets. He's like, insider sources tell me. And they're like, do insider sources tell you that fucking your dad fucking like refuses to fucking give Starbucks baristas a union because he's a slave slumlord? Like, and it's just like, you're just like a rich kid who has like fucking connections. And now you're like, and can you imagine if, like, by the way, and I do this all the time, and everybody who follows me fucking knows the joke. Could you imagine if I put sources tell me when I post who the Giants are going to pick in the draft 5 minutes before they pick them? Can you imagine if I did that? Can you imagine if I clout chased by being like, sources tell me the Giants are taking Kayvon Thibodeau? Like, guys, I know, and I post it, and I always do the same fucking jokes about it. Like, I'll put a crystal ball, I'll put like whatever. Everybody who follows Joe Prano knows where the fuck I'm getting that info. You imagine sources tell me. I've got it on a good tip that the Giants are like, guys. I try to use that to become an NFL insider. Can you imagine if I put NFL insider in my bio? What a fucking loser. I would kill myself before I did that.
I just remember when this Dove Kleiman guy, he took so much heat for a while. But I think it changed the way he does it now. And they credit I mean, look, here's my thing, guys. The old age is just, everything's up for grabs. Like, I used to get mad back in the day, you know that. Like, people are like, God, people are stealing my shit. No credit. Like, back when I was running a million Twitter feeds, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Like,
and then it becomes a point where like it happens so much where you're like, it's the world's now. You know what I mean? My buddy texted me the other day, and he said, South Park episode 14, season 20 or whatever, they did your fucking namaste yoga joke or whatever. I was like, and Fortune Feimster did it, and this person. I was like, it's the world's joke now. Like, it's the world's joke now. Like, yeah, did I fucking close my thing with it at the stand fucking now 8 years ago? Yeah. But at some point, when fucking 25 people steal it, and Eddie used to do the same thing. He's just like, Eddie would be like, dude, your Fight Club fucking CrossFit bit is just like a CrossFit world meme at this point. I was like, it's the world's joke now. I was like, Eddie, I love you that you're like involved in the CrossFit world and you're out there standing for like comedians like bits or whatever. But I was like, it doesn't matter. It's the world's bit now. Like Schefter posting something, like that information is like he just has to know Dove Kleiman and Jordan Schultz and Ari Merov or whatever. It's just, all right, I have 3 minutes for it to be mine, and now it's the world's info, and all these people are going to aggregate it. You know, in the NBA, it's like Woj bomb or Shams fucking missile or whatever the fuck it is, but it's like after that, it's Jordan Schultz is gonna take it and make it a thing and say and add his little piece of flair to it and act like he's a fucking insider. It's like, dude, you reposted Schefter's tweet, added some half-assed opinion of it.
Yeah, and along those terms, like the intellectual property and the copyright, like they used to try to care for a minute, these social media platforms. They don't care at all. Like, they don't really enforce it. You know what I'm saying? Like they used to ding you, and if you got so many strikes, to my knowledge, you can just post any movie clip now.
Yeah.
Right? Like are they dinging?
Oh,
people?
dude, on TikTok at this point.
That's what I'm saying, especially TikTok.
If you on TikTok at this point, have you noticed this? All they do for movie clips is flip it. Like it's in reverse. Like the image is mirrored.
Oh, that's how they get away with it.
And they're just like posting. They're like, was fucking Kevin Costner a left-handed pitcher in that fucking For Love of the Game?
Yeah. That's funny. Give us a ring, 310-359-8365. That's our hotline. Yeah.
At
Good.
Joe Prano on all social media. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on TikTok. Come see me in a show. Be back up in the San Luis Obispo area for super fun shows. Sneaky Pete's in a couple weeks, and some other, I think it'll be in Paso Robles and whatever. So I'll be up there. Some LA local shows posted all the time. Those flyers usually go up on my Instagram as soon as I'm tagged in them. So follow me there. And yeah, thank you for supporting, and happy fucking New Year, everybody.
Yeah, man. Yeah, enjoy the games, guys. We'll be back on Monday. Have a great weekend. And as always, stay dirty.